Hello friends, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a really fun video that is part of Tracie Fox's Creep on June series. So Creep on June goes with this wonderful new kit she has. It's a Halloween Mega Matchbox Mini, and each day of June there's a different maker who will be making a make and hopefully having a video or some kind of content online that goes with their make. I am so proud and honored to be number 7. Today is June 7th, and I'm so excited to be the creator that gets to work and play with you today. My name is Michele Landry, and if you're new here, I'm a vintage loving, treasure hunting, mixed media junk journal maker, and I love to make projects that are a little bit offbeat, and this totally speaks to my style and aesthetic. So what we are going to do today is make a little project that is going to take this kit and kind of skew it a little bit. I am going to use these templates, but not the way that Tracie did. Now, to be fair, I am recording this before June starts, so I have no idea what anybody's going to make. I have not seen any of the videos yet, and I don't know what any of the makers are making. So maybe the interpretation of what I'm thinking of doing, somebody else has already done. That is the chance that we take when we get into a collaboration. But the thing that's exciting about collaborations is that even if somebody does the same project, it's never going to be exactly the same. That's the beauty of art. You could give everybody the same materials and the same prompt, and everything will be different because everybody's different. And I love the fact that we're going to have 30 different projects this month that use this kit, and it's just hopefully going to be a huge jumping off point for your own creativity. So with that said, let's talk about what we're doing today. I am making a little project that is going to be Matchbox based, but I love tiny. I mean, I love miniatures and tiny, and that's part of my aesthetic and world. And these matchboxes are more the bigger matchbox, and I wanted to work with a tiny matchbox, the kind that you can get in your hardware store or discount store that is this size. I can get a set of 8 of these, 6 or 8 of these for $1.25 here at the dollar store, and you can see they're significantly smaller. Now, everybody has their talents, their pros and cons of what is in their wheelhouse. Technicality is not my wheelhouse. I am sort of a free-flowing, just kind of shoot from the hip kind of gal, and thinking about taking this template and then shrinking it down in half and then putting it on cardstock and then trying to make those tiny folds, no. That's not happening for me. But it doesn't matter because the way that Tracie has designed this kit, I'm going to still be able to use these templates in my project. And I'm going to cut to the chase and already have my little box made. So I also have a boatload of vintage matchboxes because I am a vintage loving person. So I have my own collection of old ones. So I will probably be using those. Now for me, there are so many things that can be made with this kit, but my mind went towards Halloween decor, home decor, decorating for the holiday. I love Halloween and I love decorating for the holiday. And I don't know about you, but I have a Halloween tree. It's, I actually have several of them, but for today's video, I am going to actually talk about just doing something super basic to make a little tree for yourself. We're not going to go into the tree today, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in the video. And I was thinking how fun it would be to have a series of ornaments that hung on those trees. I also thought this would be great in a type tray, or if you're a crafter that sells, you could make some of these over the summer for fall craft fairs. And what I'm thinking about doing is making little shadow boxes that are ornaments and using Tracie's kit to make them. And this one here is the eye. Haha, The London Eye. I didn't mean to do that, but that's funny to me. I used the eye ephemera, and it's a little 3D shadow box, and I just really think this is cute, and I'm going to make a series of these today. We are going to make another 2 in this video. I'll show you how I do this, how I use Tracie's kit, and how quick and fun and easy they are. So let's get started. So what am I going to start with? Some matchboxes, some glues, a glue stick and like art glitter glue, a little pair of scissors, a variety of the digitals from Tracie, and these foam, double-sided foam pieces. So what really inspired this idea for me was looking at the stash of matchboxes I had. I had a bunch of them that had this little design on them, and it had the perfect oval already centered, and I thought, well, that would make it pretty easy to cut out because I already have a template. So I'm going to get rid of the matches like that, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and poke a hole, and really this is just a little cheat for me, but you could do this simply by just tracing an oval on a piece of cardboard and then drawing this on the top of your matchbook so that you had your own oval as a template. And I just poked a hole in the center and then came in with my little scissors, my little fussy cutting scissors or detail scissors, whatever you have, and I'm just cutting on that line and cutting the oval out. I mean, that's pretty easy. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. I will say that I have always loved Halloween. My birthday's in October, so any birthday party I had, I didn't have many, was Halloween based, and I always felt like Halloween was such a magical holiday because I could be whoever I wanted to be, whoever I pretended to be. So as an adult, my husband and I put on some of the grandest Halloween parties in the neighborhood. We had haunted woods and actors and you name it. So I have more Halloween decorations than I have Christmas. And I'm starting to get rid of them now. My adult children are no longer participating in Halloween, and I just don't have the energy anymore. But I absolutely love Halloween. Now, Halloween in June is tricky, right? Because it's a great time to start making things for Halloween, for sure. But I kind of wanted to concentrate on something that I could have out all the time, not just on Halloween. And maybe it's the Halloween in me or the fact that I just like kind of strange things, but I've always been about curiosities. I love the illustrations from the old medical book. I have an aesthetic that really loves things like specimen sides and the microscope slides. I've done kits on that. I love the idea of that old curiosity in the medical type of thing. So, in fact, one of the biggest and most pleasurable parts of decorating for Halloween is when I do the mad scientist decorating. So I definitely tapped into that and wanted something, because look, I would keep something like this out all the time, because I like that kind of weird curiosity aesthetic. So I'm going to concentrate on the heart right now and make sure, first of all, that the heart will show up under that little oval, and it will. And I've picked out this background because I think this will go well on that. So what I need to do is put that inside of this little box. And my idea was to make a collection of ornaments that could be hung off of a creepy tree for a Halloween decoration, but also could be put like maybe in a little type tray during the year, because I think that it's such a cool, funky kind of a thing. And now I'm going to try to fit this into the little box. I guess maybe the easiest way would be to center it like this and then draw with a pencil around the outside. So that I can trim it, if I want to trim it. Maybe I don't even want to trim it. Maybe I just want to do it like this and see if I can fold it in. That might work. And then I can glue it down and there'll be a little bit of an edge in there. So now that I can see that, I want to make the folds a little bit better. Now matchbooks are very small. The ones that Tracie has designed are slightly larger, but I love tiny. I really love anything that is detailed tiny is really up my alley. So I always dig that. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is actually, before I glue this in, I'm going to put something on the back here, because I think it's important to have a good color paper or something sticking up around. I'm going to use red because the heart is red. I think that will be a good thing for me to use. One of the things I really like about this kit is because I'm so interested in tiny things. When you try to make tiny things with regular digitals or regular scrapbook paper, the images and the designs are usually really big. So you don't get a sense of what the design is because you end up cutting it and you only see such a small piece of it. What I really like about this is the opposite. Because Tracie made these for a matchbox, she designed it in a way that everything is smaller. And because it's smaller, the designs really show. Like, for instance, if I put something on the back here that was full size, you'd only get a very tiny bit of the pattern. You wouldn't even get close to seeing the alphabet. Okay, so now I can glue this little piece in the back. And I'm going to press it in. I'm just going to use my fingernail to make that crease. So I don't know if you can see that. So this is very papery, right? I want it to be a little bit stiffer, have more integrity. So I'm going to literally just use a piece of junk mail. And I'm just going to, it's very, very light cardstock. And I'm just going to glue that on because I want it to be a little bit firmer and have a little bit more integrity in the box. So I've glued that on and I'm just going to cut it out. You could do this first if you wanted to. You could just back the item before you cut it out so that you're not fussy cutting it twice. But this is fine. I can just ink that again just to make sure that there's no white. Okay. So to find the placement within the box, I feel like I need to, first I'm going to take this foam, I'm going to cut it, and then stick it on top, and cut it again, so that I have 2 layers. 2 layers will work good. And then I'm going to stick the heart to it, like that. And there's that separation. So I have to find the right placement. So I'm going to see if I can figure out the right placement. I'm going to guess. I'm not going to push it down. And then I'm going to push this on top and then just adjust it before I stick it. I think that's a pretty good, placement. And now I just want to cover any part of the box that I can see that doesn't have any kind of pretty paper on it. So I'll just take some other pieces from Tracie's kit. And again, this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of what I was saying before, because everything is scaled down in the kit to a matchbook size. Words like this will look great in here because they've been adjusted to be that size, they've been sized down, so to speak. Like that. And then stick that in. You see that little word, everything lines up and everything is the right size. Now I'm going to fold it around. You can see the heart. So now let's try this. And it fits nice. And everything looks good. So now I have to figure out what I want to do on the front. The plain, I think, helps this stand out. If this is busy, then this is not going to show as well. So I don't really want to take too much away from that, but I do want to add an element on here. So let's see what we have. We have this that says medical discovery in blood, improved blood, which I think is kind of fun. Maybe that would go on the back. I mean, that kind of fits really well on the back. So what could be on the front? There is this burdock blood bitters, which is really cool. And again, I have printed this out much smaller. I think I've printed this at 65%. No. Yes. Pretty sure I have printed this at 65%. I like that. This is red. It says chocolate on it, but if I just stick more to the French piece, let's see what happens if I rip this like that. Or maybe I rip it like this. And line it up with the oval. I might have to push that down a little, but let's see how that looks. And I'm going to push on the oval with my fingernail as I glue it, so that shape is still present. Sideways, that might be nice. And then it would wrap around. So let's see if I can put a tiny little scrap of black. I kind of like how it's jagged too. And then I can put the bitters label on diagonal. And I'm not going to worry about how it wraps yet. because once it's glued, it'll wrap. And I did say I didn't want to make it too busy, didn't I? So I need to watch that, because I might be doing the exact thing I said I didn't want to do. We'll have to see. All right, I'm going to let that dry, and I know that I want this on the back. So I'm going to do that right now. Although it might be better to wrap something. So let's put this on. Let's put glue on both sides and wrap the box. And I know Tracie designed these so that they would be fitting, that they would fit a certain way, but I'm taking a little bit of creative license here. And wrapping them the way that I want to. I'm just using it in a way that works for this project for me. And I know I'm being very repetitive, but look how well this pattern shows up on something small because of the size that she has sized it to. I really like that. So right now it might look a little funny to you because things aren't completely in place or put down. But this is how I feel when you're working small. It's the best way to get the best fit, is to actually put it on and then trim it once it's there. Maybe that's not the best way. Maybe someone who is a far more precise would do all the measuring and cutting first. But I just know myself, and I don't have a great deal of success with that way. I actually have the opposite. It never ends up lining up. If you're like that too, then I'm sure you can relate. If you're someone who measures and measures and cuts and then puts it on and then all of a sudden it still doesn't fit, I hear you. I am that person as well. So that's why I would rather trim it once it's on. Okay, so now I can glue down the little pieces that are kind of sticking up still, like this, and of course the bitters. I'll do it a little bit at a time. And that's going to fold under, so I need to trim that because I don't want it blocking the oval. And look how good that looks. Or I think it looks good. It's interesting, but it's not too much. Or I don't think it's too much. And then on the back, I was going to put this flat, but now I'm wondering if it would be more effective to have it diagonal, and I think it would. So let me get my ink. Just ink the edges. And now I'm going to glue this on. This way. And I'm putting my finger inside the Matchbox cover and really pressing down. I love how that looks. Love it. And I'm going to put a little bit of ink on the edges just to grunge it up a little bit more. And it is feeling a little wobbly because there's glue on it, but it's going to be fine once the box is in, because that will give it support. All right, so let's give this a try, shall we? I'm going to slip the heart inside. And I think that looks pretty good. I think I need some kind of a word up here. I kind of like the word fragile. I like perhaps the idea of a human heart being fragile, handling that heart with care. And both words are in this little black label that's in the kit. So what I think I would do is cut fragile out first. And then I also like the handle with care. Actually, it says handle with dare, which is funny. I didn't even pick up on that until just now, and I love that. So let's put, I could put fragile on top here, which is cute. Put fragile right up there. Actually, I'm going to bring it to the side, like that. I'm just sticking the edge on here like this. Because if I try to fold it over now, it's going to make this side stick up. So I'm going to let this get to dry first, and then I'll wrap it around. Now I can fold this. The problem, or the challenge, not the problem, let's just say the challenge, is this white glue is wet, so it does buckle after a while if you're really using a lot, which I am layering on layer, and the matchbook is just cardboard. It gets a little bit warped, but we're going to fix that. So this is our little box so far, which I really love how it wraps like that. And I'm going to take a little bit of ink and just go around the edge. Okay, so now we're getting towards the end of the details. One of the things I want to do is, you can see that there's a little bit of warping there. So what I want to do is put a little bit of glue right on the edge there, just a smidge, and on the edge in here. And then I'm going to hold that. Because it's art glitter glue, it's going to dry clear. But I want it to be nice and tight. And you could also put something on this, like if you just wanted to have the pressure, you could put a box, like I put a box in a jar on it, just to give it a nice little pressure there, and you could walk away for a little bit. Okay, so now we have a nice little fit here. And this is our little box so far. So now what I want to do is I want to finish the top with something that can hang it. So I have these little pins, which if you have a longer one, you could actually have it go through the box, but I don't have the longer ones, and I just want to use what I have. So I have these beads. These iridescent beads. I'm going to get one that's on the golder side, I think. And I'm going to put the bead, if you can see, the bead goes, the hook goes through the bead. And I'm going to figure out where on my box. I have a pokey tool, and I'm just going to eyeball about where I think the center is. And I'm going to poke, gently poke a hole. And that hole will just be the resting place for the tip of that pin, like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of a little bit of Fabri-Tac in there, or 3-in-1 beacon glue. So I'm going to put the bead through, and then put that point like that. Can you see? And I'm going to let that dry. And while I'm doing that, we can do the third box. So the third box, I'm thinking of going a different direction. I'm thinking about just cutting a rectangle out. So in that case, I need to cover this box before I cut it, because this is not a solid box like these were. Actually, this might be very interesting, because then I actually have the square to cut out. That might be the best. I'm going to cut this out and see how this goes for us. And as I did before, I think I'll try to center this on the box. And then I'll wrap it. So I think what I need to do is put my glue down first. And I'm not really going to have the ability to know where the center is, so I'm going to just quickly take a big part of the center out so I can feel my way through it. Right? So I can kind of tell where the center part is. I may not be exactly right, but that feels about right to me. I'm going to glue that down. And then I can see how far it shoots over there. So I'm just going to attempt to cut as straight as I can. Like that. And let's wrap it. I'm not going to wrap the last side yet. That's wrapped. And let's see what other papers will go with the well, I can put the cardboard on this while I'm waiting. And it will be the same process as I did with the heart, just gluing the piece of paper onto a piece of light cardstock, in this case an old flyer that came in the mail, and then fussy cutting it out and inking it. Again, you could skip this step by simply printing on cardstock to begin with. Now that this is dry, I can trim this. And now you can see where I do need to trim with my scissors. So again, you can just take a pokey tool or whatever just to get it started for your scissors. It's just easier than an X-Acto in my mind. And you can just kind of trim a big chunk of the center out first if you want, just so you have a good starting point. And then if you have detail scissors, you'll want to start just very carefully cutting. And then I'm going to change scissors to another pair of fine tip scissors that I have, and I will just go in and really clean up those edges. Again, I just find this easier than an X-Acto knife, but whatever works for you is what you should do. You know, I just do what works for me. And then after it's all cut out, I'm going to go in with ink and just go around the edges, and that will kind of take away any of the white that you could see. So now what I want to see is, yeah, that head's going to fit good in there. I really liked this. I thought that had an effective look, this dial. So I'm going to have to cover the inside with something. And I think something really dark. This first. Just like that. Fold that over. Want the edges to be fully covered. I don't want them coming up short. So once those edges are covered, I can put this wheel in right in the center. Two layers of foam. And again, I'm not going to fully engage it until I put this guy in. And I see that I really want it to be lower. I actually want it to be right there at the bottom, which I wouldn't have thought. So let me put that in the right place. And I think I'm going to put a word in here because look how much head space. Ha ha ha. Look how much head space I have there. That's funny. Let's see what she has for words. I like the word phrenological, although I don't really know what phrenological means. And I feel like it needs to be on a black background for sure. What does phrenological mean? I hope whatever it means, it'll make sense with this little. So I need that to be on something black or dark. Maybe I want that little slip right there. And I can put that here. I don't like things all straight, and especially if they're layered. Oh, that's kind of cool. I do feel like I could add a little something else though. Something in the front here. I like medical. Oh, I like discovery. I like the word discovery. Maybe to the edge like that. And I'll put some ink so it looks slightly distressed. And a little bit of a dab of glue. Just the corner, like that. Now let me slide it in and see what I think. Huh. That's interesting. All right, so now I'm going to take some distress ink. And I'm just going to stress the sides a little bit. Let's see what other details we can include here. Let's see what other words. Deadly handling. I like these black labels. I think they stand out a lot. Oh. Ooh. I like that. I like how you can still see a little of the phrenological. I like how it comes off just a hair. It gives it such a 3D look. Whether I'll trim it, I don't know. I'm just going to, for now, glue it. And before I glue it, I will do this on the back, just in case a little of it shows from the back side. I don't want it to be all white. That's cool. And then I want something more interesting on the back here. A lot like the other one where I came on, wrapped it at an angle. I can just do part of this like that, and that would be cool. And it has that medical feel to it. My fingers are so gluey now. I hate when it gets that feeling. Oh, I could wrap this, right? That's the top, that's the bottom. And looking at this, I like this crow. And I like the eyes. The eyes, I think, are creepy. And I just wonder, I like that. And then I will do the same thing with the bead and the hanger on top. So going through my stash, I was doing some rust dyeing not too long ago, and I had tied the packets up with twine, and they got all rusty and grungy. And I think they're going to be perfect for hanging the little ornaments. So what I think I want to do is just make a loop, probably not too big, but not too small either. And I'll tie that. I think I'm going to bead one bead at the top just to make it a little bit more finished. So there's like a little bead on the top. That's like the little bead down there. Gives it a little bit more of a decorative look. And here are the 3 little ornaments that I made for the beginning of my Halloween tree. I mentioned during the video that the boxes were getting a little bit wonky, like a little bit wobbly because of the white glue. And I definitely think that can happen when you're layering paper. But now that it's dry, it's super strong. Like that white glue really bonded, and it's a really strong little piece. These are not at all, I mean, they're fragile, but they're not really fragile, if you know what I'm saying. And what I'd like to show you now is I'm going to show you what they look like in a type tray. And I'm also going to show you what they look like on a sort of gnarled branch. And what I did do was I just went outside and I clipped a branch, and then I spray painted it. I mean, it took like 3 minutes. I just went downstairs and looked for whatever spray paint I had. And I was super lucky that I had this hammered silver gray spray paint in my basement. It's perfect for this project. So today's project was making really tiny Shadowbox ornaments for a piece of Halloween decor. I'm going to take the spray painted branch along with this project, and I'm going to come up with another project using Tracie's kit, and combined I'm going to make a really cool piece of decor that you can put out in October or hang in your studio or home all year. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this video interesting or inspirational, I hope that you will like it below, and I would love for you to survive. Well, that is creepy, to survive, to subscribe, and that way you don't miss any other videos. Bye.